What's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and today we're going to do a top 10 list on free-to-play RTSs. Yeah, all these games are strategy games that have some real-time elements. Now, some of them aren't going to really look like RTSs that you are familiar with. However, they are strategy games that have real-time elements. That's all I'm going to say. That's the umbrella term here, and I know that the RTS genre has kind of waned a little bit, and if you're looking for, especially for free-to-play RTSs, and you're trying to see some other top 10 lists or, just other websites or whatever, that's all bullshit, okay? And not because I'm a fan of RTSs am I doing this list. However, I have played every single one on this list. It's because literally nobody else is doing it right. So I'm here to help you find the games that you're looking for, because I myself, I'm interested in getting into RTSs, and so yeah, I jumped into all these games. Now, whether or not they look like the RTSs you're looking for, I don't know, but I'm sure you'll find at least one game here that'll give you the feeling that you want, because honestly, they're just all really weird and different. If you're okay with that, and if you can open up your brains, then I think you're gonna have some fun. Let's do it. Top 10 free-to-play RTSs. Alright guys, starting the list, I try to have a controversial item on every list, and here we go, we're gonna jump right into it. That's gonna be Clash of Clans. Yes guys, there are real-time elements to this game, but I do want to mention that this is asynchronous gameplay. That means whenever you're attacking somebody, you're not attacking them directly, you're just attacking their base, and then they can retaliate and, stuff like that. And people can attack you, but you're not ever actively defending, so just keep that in mind, guys. The Clash of Clans is really one of the only MMO strategy games out there that have real-time elements whatsoever, or really, in my opinion, any gamed elements. Like, it's a video game, but a lot of this genre is just like autoplay and just time-based and just attrition-based. Whoever has just more stuff wins. Clash of Clans actually gives you some playability with you placing units in real time, actually using active abilities, and as you destroy their bases in real time, your strategies, your tactics can change around. And also it's gonna, determine your defenses, which Clash of Clans has some of the most creative defenses that you could possibly have. A lot of other MMO strategy games, you just kind of build and pre-placed plots, but no, Clash of Clans, you actually are creating your defenses, like maybe something like tower defense. So really, it kind of feels like a big tower defense game. I'd put it in that genre too. But anyways, it made the list because it's the best and most popular MMO strategy game that has real-time elements. Alright, number 9, I'm going to put Clash Royale, and it's only so low on the list because it doesn't look like a normal RTS of what you might imagine an RTS to be, but this is probably the most popular game on the list. It's absolutely freaking huge, okay? Now, Clash Royale is like this sort of new subgenre of RTS. It mixes deck building with like lane, attack, defense, and tower defense and attacking. It's just sort of weird and unique and special, but there's a lot of games emulating it now, like Minion Masters, we got Brawl of Ages, and we've also got the new Smite Rivals, which is probably going to be its actual rival. Now, Clash Royale is very different from other RTSs. You don't really have base building and stuff like that. However, you can actually make lots of different strategies with the deck building, okay? So you do have card elements and card collecting. Deck building is definitely strategic, okay? However, I'm not going to put a CCG on the list because, turn-based. However, if you're going to make a CCG real-time, I think Clash Royale is a great concept. So yeah, you spawn the cards or the units in real time, in contention with other units that are being spawned by the enemy, and you're trying to aggress on the towers and destroy the king or just earn enough crowns to win the match. And the matches are really short, it's really quick, and overall Clash Royale is super fun. It does have a lot of strategy. It seems simple, but actually, reactionally, this game is really fast-paced, really intense, and there is a lot of skill to be had here, I promise. Hey friends, let's talk about a game called BOID. So BOID is a light RTS, and it is cross-platform too, which is pretty nice. I've played a lot of mobile RTSs, from like tower defense genre all the way through up to like Mushroom Wars, which is like a $10 or more expensive, type of RTS or light RTS. So I've played the full range of complexities, and I feel that BOID is really the kind of perfect center there. I think this is really RTS in its most primal form or most basic form, distilled, and yet at the same time, not just stupefied, but actually has some original concepts. So let's talk about some of those. BOID is just focusing on your units, okay? There's no resource management aside from the numbers of your units and where they are, so it's just the tactics there. And the strategy is focusing on these different capture points. So normally light RTSs don't really have a map, it's just blank and flat. But here, yes, I mean it's 2D, there are choke points and there are capture points where if you capture them, you can then spawn different kinds of units. So there is like this crazy mind game and tactics, and there is true strategy to this game. It's not just attrition, even though you are just focusing on the different units. So for that intensity from such an intuitive game, that's why BOID makes the list. Yo guys, alright, so we're gonna talk about a game called Tiger Knight Empire War, and I know it looks like a brawler, it looks like a fighter, maybe For Honor-ish, Mountain Blade-ish, but dude, trust me guys, even though it looks like a Dynasty Wars, Musou type of game, that's just kind of like a small added element, because wholly and mostly, this is an RTS, it's a strategy game, and even though it is big team battle, so it's not just one-on-one, well, Tiger Knight Empire War really does focus on these strategy elements of outfitting your units, what kind of units, their weapons, their gear, and then the tactical elements of jumping into the game like a real RTS, like a real-time strategy strategy game and actually creating strategies, you know, flanking positions, or even when you're in the actual conflicts there, the different arrangement of your units that you're utilizing. Working with your team in real time. Maybe send a squad to go flank. Maybe go and take over this siege machine. Maybe go and just fight the general by yourself, you know, at true Dynasty Warrior style. That is an option. And because of the camera angle, it doesn't detract from the RTS elements. It actually adds to it because there are certain flanking strategies and sort of ninja tactics that you can utilize because of that. So the different situations and scenarios that you're going to get in Tiger Knight Empire War and the overall game feeling is going to be wholly unique to any other real-time strategy game that you're going to see on this list or otherwise. And so for that, RTS lovers, you owe it to yourself to try out Tiger Knight Empire War, despite what first impressions might tell you. Alright guys, let's talk about 8-Bit Armies Arena. Now this is going to be part of the series, franchise, saga, IP of the whole 8-Bit, you know, Invaders, Armies, Horde, just all that good stuff. This is the free-to-play version or variant of that. You are relegated to one faction. There's a couple other limitations, but for the most part, yeah, you can play with other players. You get all the, you know, the actual game, the graphics, the cute, chaotic, you know, cubic-looking, you know, RTS gameplay, and it is like a full-fledged RTS in that. And even though you don't have the factions, you still can fight against other factions and watch other people play those factions. It's pretty neat. It's a pretty cool introduction into the franchise, into RTSs overall, though there is some debate over the skill compression. For instance, like certain things, whenever you're building them, you can't build anything else, and you know, there's certain limitations on some of the workers, and there's a lot of limitations with the micromanagement, but that allows new players to really get into the game and focus on the strategy without having to worry about just the intense micromanagement and, you know, the million billion APM that you might need in StarCraft. So yes, it's StarCraftian, and whenever you think of the general idea of an RTS, this is probably what you're thinking of, and it is free, and at the same time, even really good players sometimes just get way too stressed out playing games like StarCraft. So it's really cool to just kind of chillax, have some fun, and maybe teach a friend or two how to play a proper RTS here with 8-Bit Armies Arena. All right, halfway on the list, dude, we got ISTROLID. Now, this game was actually put on my underrated free-to-play games that I played last year, and it left such an impression on me when it comes to, like, RTSs or jumping into strategy games that I started playing more and more strategy games, and in fact, it's halfway responsible for making this list. So, ISTROLID is a light 2D, you know, RTS, and it is pretty bare bones and simplistic with its art style. No, dude, this game gets complex. It gets crazy, dude. Okay, so ISTROLID's main little gimmick mechanic is that you're building your units piece by piece, block by block. You're actually building your army, not just selecting from cards. You're not just deck building. It'd be more like if you're actually creating the cards and then stacking the deck and then building them and playing them in real time and then controlling them in real time against everybody else that's doing the same thing, and then rockets and then missiles and then whoa, it gets crazy, dude. For a light RTS, this is probably the most intense when it comes to actual strategy elements. And in a real-time strategy game, of course, I'm gonna weight the strategy elements on this list. So halfway, I've got ISTROLID. Please check it out. Coming in at number 4, we have Airmech, which is probably the closest thing to a proper MOBA that I was going to put on this list. See, Airmech is kind of like a MOBA because you do control a character, and I think the game really comes to life in 2v2s. It is an arena RTS, and you do actually level up, gain abilities and stat points throughout the match with your, you know, your transforming UFO, airship, freaking robot thing, in disguise, whatever, more than meets the eye. But really, that's just sort of a vessel for you to control your armies. You do spawn your different creeps. You actually choose which creeps that you have. You know, you kind of like assemble your deck of the different units, and then you spawn them in real time. And not only do you just spawn them, but you actually manually place them and tell them what to do. And then, of course, you yourself are running and gunning freaking arena shooter speed style, wrecking other people's armies and units, and also head-to-head themselves. This game's also cross-platform too. Like freaking, I remember playing it on the Chrome Web Store, browser-based. You can also download it on Steam, and it's also on consoles. It controls pretty good with a controller. And if you want an RTS that is all about the micro-intensivity of a single unit, then that's Airmech. Of course, you got a little bit of macro as well. That is the overarching strategy, but dude, this game is fast. Keep that in mind and have fun. Number 3 is going to be the most surprising to me, and that's Art of War Red Tides. During my first impression, I immediately saw just the kind of bullet points. You know, I saw what the game was. It's like, oh, it's a single lane. Okay, we only control the creeps, right? It's 3 players on each side for 1 lane. What? This is just going to be a mosh pit of just creep spawning, and that's kind of what it is. But actually, dude, it gets really, really in-depth. Sure, there's no mechanics, like you're going to have an Airmech or Tiger Knight or a lot of arena RTSs. There's not even an arena. It's literally just 1 lane, and it's played in phases, if that makes sense to you. But no, seriously, all the different units that you can actually accrue and use. And then the resource management system is similar to a lot of arena RTSs. You can just focus on managing your resources, gaining resources. You can do some small waves, and then you can have a monster wave. And if you ever played MOBAs, then you know that controlling the creep, push, and pull is really important and vital. And now just focus on that. Just focus on the creep mechanics. And there's an entire game to be played around that, and that's what this game is. Obviously inspired from games similar to Clash Royale and those kind of mods from the Warcraft days. And here it is, a full-fledged free-to-play RTS that is just strategy. Like, that's it. It's just the strategy. Yeah, it's still team-based. And it's still very intuitive and easy to get into. At first glance, it seems simple, but please give it a shot. Art of War will surprise you. Number 2 on the list is a browser-based little game called Little War Game. That's it, Little War Game. Please type that in. Actually, if you just type in free RTS, it should be like the first or second thing on Google. It's an amazing game that is really actually not that little. Sure, in a lot of ways, it's pixel arted, right? It's played on the browser. In a lot of ways, it is light, it is simplified, but it's a full-fledged RTS, and it's the only one that I saw that really properly emulated an arena RTS fully to the full extent. I could just say that even more. Little War Game even has like tournaments, and they have streams, and there's like this little niche community. It is beautiful, and it's wonderful, and this was actually the first RTS I ever really gave a shot, and I had so much fun. There's a full, can I just say full more? There is a full map maker that you can utilize for free. Now, there's only one faction, but you get full use of the arsenal, and you can play anybody at any time. You get the server browser. I mean, I think it's missing some features, probably like LAN and some other things that you get in bot-purchased games. Sure, I understand that. But Little War Game is, whenever you're looking for a list like this, or whenever you're looking for a free-to-play RTS, or, whenever people just have the concept of wanting a game similar in this genre of what this list embodies, then they're gonna want a game like Little War Game. That's what Little War Game is. It's a game that's easy, it's intuitive to jump into, but at the same time, no, it's still a full-on complex RTS. So yeah, it's not a light RTS. It doesn't have any random gimmicks. You have seen these mechanics in other games, but for free, in a browser game that anybody can play at any time, that plays well, that has a full-fledged feature set, again, it's a full game for free. Body, Heart, and Soul, this is a great free-to-play RTS. Probably the spearhead of the genre. Now, the number 1 might surprise you, or maybe not. The number 1 is going to be Starcraft II. Okay, guys, seriously, arms down, please. Starcraft II actually, somewhat recently, kind of a little bit, revamped its free-to-play or trial demo account premium thing, whatever. Starcraft II now, as a free player, you can just download it, and you are able to use all 3 factions, and you can go and play the matchmaking. So, compared to all the games on this list, you can play a much more in-depth, much more complicated, much more real and very serious RTS for free, okay? However, you don't get to play ranked, so keep that in mind, and you don't have access to the campaigns. You actually do get to demo some of the campaigns, which is more than a lot of these games have. So either way, guys, if you consider it a demo or not, it just kind of doesn't actually matter, because in terms of raw stuff that you just kind of get and consume, it's a lot for free. It is actually a full game for free in disguise. You get the multiplayer, and if you actually get to play with a person that owns some of the expansions or the full game, you get that as well, as long as you're playing with them. An amazing product that I don't know, man. If you call this a demo, this is the most extended demo I've ever seen. Starcraft II, it's so much content that I am putting it as number 1 on my free-to-play RTS list, because you seriously just get that good of an experience, that well-rounded of a product for, well, the price of free, and then you have the option of upgrading to getting even more. So yeah, love it or hate it, or, if you agree with me or not, please let me know in the comments below, but I'm sticking it at number 1. Oh yeah, one small little thing. The original StarCraft is being given away for free now. So yeah, there's a thing. Thanks so much for watching my top 10 list, friends and family. Yeah, top 10 RTSs that are free to play. Hopefully you appreciate all the little uniquities I sprinkled out throughout the list, but honestly, there's really not that many free to play RTSs, games that you could really call RTSs, or games that you could really call free to play, but this is probably the best that you're going to get. I scoured the internet, looked for lots of lists, looked for lots of recommendations, and these games, a lot of them didn't even make those lists, so this is probably your go-to source for free to play RTSs. It's a little bit tragic. I really want the RTS genre as a whole to grow, but also these little unique little genres that have been popping up all over the place, especially on mobile devices and browser-based. Really want to see those succeed, and hopefully they will. Hopefully we can make it come back, guys, so keep the hype alive. Hope you guys had fun with the video and have fun with the games. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you in the next one.